And that surprise cost Netflix's stock, which dropped by 35%, nearly $50 billion in market cap. But welcome to a brand new episode of This Week in Apps. I'm BeReal from Appfigures, and here's your weekly roundup of the most interesting developments in the world of mobile apps and games. Question: what's the one popular app you can blindly expect to top the download charts without hesitation? If you're thinking Facebook, you're right. Facebook has been in the top 10 most downloaded app list in the US and in many other countries for so long that you'd think it's super glued to that list somehow. But this week, I was surprised to find a top 10 list that doesn't include Facebook. It wasn't in the top 20, not even in the top 30. I was so confused. I thought our top app lists were broken for a moment. They weren't, because Facebook has dropped significantly over the last few days. Our hourly category rank tracking is showing that in the US, the slide started last Tuesday. Facebook ranked 4th overall on Tuesday in the US App Store, and that's the list that ranks both apps and games. And that's kind of normal for it to be up in the top. But by Wednesday, Facebook dropped to 9th place, and by Thursday, it had already left the top 10, sliding into 14th place. It didn't even stay there very long. Fast forward to this Thursday, just a few days ago, and Facebook's rank has dropped so much. It is now sitting at number 41 overall. 41! So what does that mean for downloads? It's exactly what you think. Our estimates show that the initial drop last week lost Facebook more than 60% of daily downloads in the App Store globally. Now, only in the App Store. In more absolute terms, we're estimating the drop to be more than 200,000 downloads every day. That doesn't seem to be the case on Google Play yet. Let's talk streaming. This week, Netflix disclosed that it lost subscribers in Q1 of 2022. The first time that's happened in more than a decade. Netflix lost 200,000 subscribers instead of adding 2.5 million new subscribers, which is what was expected. Needless to say, the market was surprised, and that surprise cost Netflix's stock, which dropped by 35%, nearly $50 billion in market cap. But those who have been looking at downloads know that this was pretty obvious for kind of a long time, me included. Let me show you. Back in the day, before streaming was big on mobile, before the days of Disney Plus, and back when HBO Max was still HBO Now, do you remember those times? Netflix was the streamer to download. Sure, you can stream Netflix in a variety of ways that aren't a mobile phone, but mobile has become a very big channel for streaming, so it can't be discounted, even not back in those days. Back in 2018, Netflix was averaging 3 million new downloads across the App Store and Google Play in the US every month, according to our estimates. In 2019, Netflix added 36 million new downloads from the US alone. But then Disney Plus launched, and downloads didn't behave the same way anymore. In 2020, the year that kicked off the race for streaming, Netflix dropped to 32 million downloads in the US. And at the same time, Disney Plus rose to 30 million downloads, all in the US, according to our estimates. Almost the same. Then came HBO Max, a rebrand that launched with great titles and beat both Netflix and Disney Plus, again in the US. By that point, Netflix's downloads were down 22% year over year, down to just 25 million for the year. 2022 isn't looking any better, so what's going on? Disney Plus and HBO Max realized something early on, which gave them the lead very quickly. The streaming race is really all about content. Netflix has been investing a ton in content, but overall, I think it's what's coming from the bigger studios that's simply attracting more attention. And it's the kind of attention that getting into games didn't solve, if you know what I'm talking about. CNN made a somewhat similar mistake with CNN Plus, which it actually shut down after less than a month. But Netflix is in a much different position. Do you think Netflix can become relevant again? Let's move on to more positive trends. One little thing I noticed this week is that Tesla hit a new milestone. Although most news coverage these days revolves around Elon Musk's attempt to take over Twitter, the Tesla app, which I've been using as a loose proxy for demand for Tesla cars, has hit its best month of downloads ever. After a slow start to 2022, March ended with 279,000 estimated downloads worldwide across the App Store and Google Play. But most came from the App Store. That's a lot of new or used, which I will explain in a minute, Teslas. I say that because the primary use case for the app is to operate a vehicle. The previous high was last November, where the app added 268,000 new users, according to estimates, so not too long ago. And year over year, downloads are up 78%. On a side note, do you think Elon won't get Twitter? Let me know in the comments. By the way, some of you have pointed out the difference between the numbers I shared in my last video about Tesla and the official numbers of new cars shipped by Tesla. Just keep in mind that Teslas change hands, and new owners of used Teslas aren't counted in any of the official numbers, but they are presented by their downloads. The positive trends continue. Ready for something new? BeReal is a photo sharing app with a unique spin. It asks you to snap a photo of yourself at a random time and gives you 2 minutes to do it. That's it. That's the whole thing. Who would do that, right? Well, up until recently, not that many, but recently, many. The 2-year-old app, which hails from France, has been picking up steam in the last month or so and has hit a new peak this week. Daily downloads, which our estimates show average around 4,000 for most of 2021, have been growing steadily in 2022. In January, daily downloads more than quadrupled to 20,000, and by March, downloads doubled again to around 40,000 according to our estimates. But that's not the end. Last Sunday, downloads climbed to 170,000. That's right, a more than 400% increase all in a single day, and it doesn't look like that's slowing down. BeReal is now the 11th most downloaded app in the US App Store, and I expect it to keep climbing into the weekend, so you can probably see it in single digits when you see this video. Like many of the overnight successes we've seen topping the App Store recently, most of BeReal's downloads happened very recently. Of the 6.7 million downloads the app has seen since its launch in 2020, 4.9 million downloads, or about 73%, came in 2022, most of which are from the US and the UK. College students are the app's main audience, where the app has been spreading organically, but there's more here. Photo apps have been rising to the top of the charts a bunch over the last few months. I've covered them in a bunch of videos recently, some knowingly, others by luck, but at the end of the day, there's an obvious pattern here. Remember the excitement in the early days of Snapchat? That could be coming back, but just without the filters and gimmicks. Maybe with some gimmicks. Last positive trend for the week. Shopping thrifty? After a surprising end to 2021, fast fashion shopping app SHEIN has hit a new milestone. The cheap clothing app that rose in popularity over lockdown season and even beat Amazon for a hot minute is back. It didn't really go anywhere, but downloads did dip a lot in 2022. But that's all done. SHEIN has had an interesting ride since the pandemic started. It opened 2020 with a little over 100,000 daily downloads, a nice number that tripled by the end of that year. 2021 was a bit rougher, and even though it saw a 50% increase in downloads, the trend was sloping in the wrong direction for the shopping app. It ended 2021 with just 257,000 daily downloads, on average, according to our estimates. But then, this Tuesday, global downloads across both platforms grew to 675,000, according to our estimate. And it's not a single spike. Downloads have been rising slowly since the beginning of the year. Right now, SHEIN is getting more downloads than shopping king Amazon in the US. How long will it last this time? I don't know, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. And that's all I have for you this week. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing for more episodes like this one. And check out last week's episode to see the highest earning apps and games in the US. I'll see you next week.